Yo, 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 what's going on? This is the NRW, where nerds rule the world. It's your boy, Kuya P, aka Patrick Michael Strange, and I'm back with my homies of the NRW. I have Heather Hurt. Heather, don't hurt him.
Hi.
Don't hurt him, Heather. I know how it feels. I know how you feel about that ring cam or the webcam right now. Don't hurt him.
I'm going to pre-apologize to everyone on this planet right now. It is my camera, not me.
It's all good, though. It's all good. Just don't hurt him, Heather. Just don't hurt him. But of course, we can't get this going until we're leveled up. And of course, the man that does that is the Blur Dad himself, Mr. Glenn Lawrence. What's good, Glenn?
What is going on, Kuya P and Miss Hurt? How y'all doing?
Good to see y'all ready to close out the book of Boba Fett so we can get to that next chapter, which I think is Kenobi, if you will, if I'm not mistaken. It's Kenobi-esque. But before we get there, we got to close out Boba Fett. Let's go ahead and break it down. We're going to break down chapter 5, 6, and the finale, chapter 7. I'm going to throw it over to Heather. Don't hurt him.
Wait, before you do that, Kuya P, I think you messed up because this is actually the book of The Mandalorian.
I know.
So,
Glenn, you totally
ouch!
Haters. I'm surrounded by haters.
That was going to be my joke. God damn it.
I'm
so sorry.
By haters. I thought this was, you know what? I'll save it when we're giving our actual review. Glenn likes to be Glenn. So let me throw it to Heather. Don't hurt him before I hurt him.
He totally stole my, and as you can see, guys, my camera, he totally stole my joke. I was going to be like, all right, so welcome, guys, to the Book of Mandalorian episode.
These people. I thought these were professionals I was working with.
Because one of the big unfortunate things, and I'm just gonna be fuzzy the entire time. One of the things about episode 5, and we kind of, I kind of touched on it in our last video. There was a really weird cutoff between 4 and 5, where we were prepping for the war, we were getting ready, everything was going with Boba, and then we're with the Mandalorian he's literally chopped off some pig guy's head and dog guy. He's a dog guy. I'm sorry. Some dog guy's head, and he's going for a bounty. So, and what happens is he gets to the planet, and of course, what we get is we get him on this planet, and that's where he meets up with the remainder of his Mandalorian family. It's him, what's her name? It's she's the armorer. The armorer.
Moto.
What?
Oh, the armorer.
Oh,
armorer.
The armorer.
The armorer.
We will help you out in just a second. We'll look that up real quick.
That's her name.
Emily Swallow.
Yes,
Emily Swallow is the armorer.
Yes, she is the armorer. And if you haven't, by the way, there's this super cute image of her meeting a baby armorer, and it's so cute. It is so cute.
It is.
Anyway, so he gets to this planet. He finds her, and just one other Mando was able to survive the ambush. And when he gets there, let's talk about this. This is the first big thing that happens. He gives her everything. She takes the spear and she goes, "What do you want with it?" And what do you think about how, like, the very first thing she goes is, "You can't have the spear."
I was kind of sad. I was sad to see the spear go, but it was cool what the final result is, which we'll talk about later. Mm-hmm. But I was sad to see the spear go. I like it as part of his menagerie of weapons, as Batman utility belt, if you will. But it served its purpose, and where it goes, I can't complain. But no, it was cool. I understood.
Yeah, after everything that they've been through to get that spear, it was kind of like, damn, just like that.
Because she said so, and it is the way.
It's the way.
But okay, but that also leads directly into the fight scene. We find out that, I'm trying to remember. So Kaba Baz, who is the other Mando,
Kaba Baz.
While he is there, he also shows the armorer that he got the black saber. We kind of find out a little bit of the history of the saber, and that Baz's family are the ones that originally crafted it. and we have a big scene between the two of them. What did you guys think of? We finally got a little bit more from a cinematic standpoint of the saber. Did y'all feel like it kind of circled out the storyline of it a little bit?
I enjoyed it. I thought it was cool. I liked how they kind of worked that. I thought that other Kababaz was going to be really they introduced him, and sometimes you wonder, are they going to actually do something with those kind of like sidebar characters? And they actually did, and it made sense, and just gave us a little bit more to that. So for me, I enjoyed it. I thought it was cool, and how it ended too. He didn't like really hurt the guy. Well, spoilers, but I'll stop there. But it was good. It was good. I enjoyed it. Glenn, take it over.
Well, I mean, for me, like the whole opening was great. Like getting to see Mando with the dark saber to actually go for that bounty or whatever. Which, I know you gloss over and said that he chopped off the dude's head, but damn, that was an opening scene, right?
See, Glenn, stop it. You're supposed to be a professional.
What are you talking about?
He didn't chop his head off.
He was very professional when he said chopped off some guy's head.
Yeah, exactly. What are you talking about? And then he I don't know where you're shaking your head. I'm so confused. But
I'm now confused. He didn't kill the other Mando. Now I'm lost.
But you're not listening. You're not paying attention. What I'm talking about is the opening scene where he like cut the dude's head off for the bounty. And I said you glossed over that, but it was an amazing opening scene.
I thought we were still in the open.
I'm getting there, professional. I'm trying to be professional and get there, bro.
There we go.
I'm trying to get there. Anyway, that scene was amazing because it showed him wielding the Darksaber when he's not challenged. You know what I mean? And so it was great to see that opening scene, especially cutting through some guy in half, and then going to this scene where he has to wield it against another skilled Mandalorian, where he could barely like even lift it up, and it's giving him all kind of problems. Seeing those two juxtapositions really helped kind of give a little bit more flavor to the Darksaber. So I really like seeing the juxtaposition between those two scenes. You know what I mean? So I thought it was a great bit of storytelling, even though like it wrapped me so much I forgot that I was watching the Book of Boba Fett. I was back into the Mandalorian.
This is clearly the Mandalorian season 3. We
right.
never walked away.
Right. Right.
Excuse me.
It's like a comic book. It's like a comic book, y'all. That's what all these people, y'all are comic book people. You know, sometimes the main storyline ventures off to another sidebar story. It's still the Book of Boba Fett, people, and it was great. I'm going to agree with Heather. It was very abrupt. It was like, I could get it if it's a comic, but it was super abrupt.
See, so you actually made that comment before that you thought that it was very comic booky, and I know we're straying away from the plot for a second, but let's look at it from the terms of a comic book. And we know that Favreau is a huge comic book nerd. Like if it wasn't for him, we literally wouldn't have the MCU. We could thank Feige as much as we want, but it's actually Favreau that gave it to us.
Yes. Fabulous Favreau.
If it wasn't for Elf, we would be nowhere, guys. Nowhere.
Amazing point.
Real talk. But that's why I think it's still good. A lot of people are saying in Mando 3, it was enough Boba Fett that to me it's the Book of Boba Fett.
I know I'm making jokes. I agree, but no. Just on the point of the side of creating a side arc, when I think it would have been better if usually in a comic book or in a book in general, or even in a television show where they do like a random side story, they kind of have a lead in. They're kind of like, okay, this is what we're doing. I'm bringing this character in, and now I'm going off to the side instead. And I'm going to jump to the end of the episode real quick. Instead of it being Finnick she brings in Mando, and then we step back into an episode where we see how Mando got to where he is with Finnick. Mm-hmm. We just walk the fuck away from a storyline.
Right.
And then we kind of got the end of it. So when you see, I agree that it is very comic booky when you're saying we kind of took a sidestep, but there's usually a sidestep to lead to a sidestep to get back to that first step. And it literally just kind of went, I'm going to, just kick kick down the door and just walk away. So I'm not saying I didn't like it. Don't get me wrong. I like how we got Mando back into the story. And we're about to get there. It's just it felt very broken in how we got there.
I will wholeheartedly agree and chime in as well. Like, usually what you'll see is the very last scene of the previous episode will be like, what are we going to do? Who are we going to get? And then it's a cliffhanger into the next one, and then it will open to it. Whereas this was just kind of like, it's just like, hey, we know you love this guy. Let's bring him back. You know what I mean? So
Pedro Pascal and Wonder Woman too. We needed to bring him back.
We need to bring him back. So I'm on board, Heather. I concur.
All right. So before you go and continue on, Heather, I will have to respectfully agree to disagree with you both. But I will say there could have been a little bit more connective tissue. To me, the way episode 4 ended it off, we knew that they were going to go to find more people. And then as we saw Fennec Shand with episode 5 and 6, she kind of came in there in spurts, and there could have been a little bit more with Fennec being that connective tissue. I will say to that, but again, I don't know. For me, it was there, but I would have to agree with you to a slight disagreement. There could have been a little bit more with that Fennec Shand, but again, we'll respectfully disagree.
And that's the great thing about the MCU is that, or not, this is the wrong universe, guys. I'm sorry. Give me a second. The Star Wars, it actually doesn't matter. That's the great thing about fandom is that we can, spoiler, we can agree and we can disagree, and it all still be exactly valid.
Yeah. But we can also just point out that the preponderance of fandom agrees with us, Kuya P. Just so you know.
It was enough for me, and I'm sure if there was others out there right now, we would probably have an equal number. I will say that there would be an equal number, but it's all good. 2 out of 3 right now. Y'all are winning as far as NRW is concerned.
There you go.
But I gotcha. Okay.
It's all good. Heather, take us going. Keep it going.
Let's get back to the plot. Okay, so Mando then, of course, when he's talking to the armorer after he wins the battle, I'm just gonna keep adding ERs.
I love it though.
Hold up. Not too many hard ERs there, Heather.
But after he speaks, sorry. Okay, after he speaks, the armorer. I don't know how many times I've said it now. He basically admits that he has taken off his helmet so that he could see the little one, and she gives him a task in which he has to make up for what he did, because this is his religion, this is who he is, and she gives him the task to do so, and he decides to leave and go do it. Step 1, though, he needs a ship. And so he heads back to his friendly neighborhood Pelimato, who is she is the mechanic that we fell in love with during the first season. And she has an original fighter from, what was that? That was episode 2 when that vehicle was released, when we first saw it. I can't remember what it was called. What was the type of fighter?
It's it's not a pod racer. It's no, is it a speeder? Is that?
No, it was used in the battle. It was a royal something.
No idea. I'm not that nerdy with Star Wars to know that.
I don't know the ships. I know it's the Falcon Millennium, right?
Maybe, yeah.
It's cool. I'll say that. Final product.
And what he does is she kind of does the typical used car salesman thing. It's, I got this thing right here. I got it right here. I don't have it done yet. But if you want to see it, I'll show you.
Right.
By the way, I can finish it if you help me.
Right.
So we agreed that it was kind of a dust bucket, but a dirt. Well, it was trash. There we go. It was trash. Number 1, though, how do you feel about how now we've seen Boba in the past? He made friends with the Jawas, not knowing that they stole his armor. Now we see Mando becoming friends with the Jawas. What do you think about that? Because the Jawas, no, it was the Jawas.
Yeah. I think it's interesting because a lot of these characters, or a lot of these I think we talked about this before. A lot of these background characters in Star Wars are coming to life and getting fleshed out a little bit more, to the point where we even get to, find out about what Jawas look like under their robes. You know what I mean? Through the dating habits of Moto. So I just think it's cool. Like they're fleshing them out. And of course you have this wide universe. You're always traveling to different planets, doing different missions or whatever. Of course you're going to run into those characters and probably have a little bit of a deeper relationship. So it's cool to see them go back and forth and end up in a situation where, they're going to have to interact with these little characters that were just kind of like afterthoughts in the original trilogy.
Mm-hmm.
I'm with that. Yeah. I that Tusken Raider episode, like, really was amazing. Like, culturally, right? I thought it was super dope.
Broke your heart. That's what it is. Okay, so they basically trade trash for trash to rebuild this. It's a Royal Galactic something or other. And what I'm going to tag in with an opinion here, since I have never given one in my life. One thing that was really great about the episode is they went from an unfinished piece to an unfinished piece. There are holes in the armor. There's, of course, she changed the pod to give us a holding compartment of a specific size for no reason at all.
Just random.
Just saying. And it's one of those where it was really cool to see, like, to feel, it still felt very Mando with him, because he always had a busted up ship. Why would he want something brand spanking new that had all of its panels? Like, what are your thoughts?
He needs a challenge. You know what I mean? He always needs a challenge. Kuya P, you go ahead and jump in here because I have a couple thoughts on the little race car.
Then go ahead.
No, I just thought it was like really cool to get the like he has a little sports car and she's like his personal mechanic, which I thought was really, really awesome. And then the way she kind of like, is talking about how she's going to spiff it up and everything. And they just have like a really cool interaction, like a really cool chemistry of like, no, don't even look at that. And then things are like popping up and like popping out and falling down. And you're like, am I supposed to fly in space in that? Like,
it really grounds, we're dealing with space, right? And aliens and different creatures and everything, but it makes it really relatable, right. It's a very human element to have that kind of camaraderie and relationship. So no, I'm with you 100%. Like that's super dope. That relationship they have.
And it's interesting because usually as when you become a parent, you get a child under your care, you go from like a sports car to like a minivan, you know what I'm saying? And he did the opposite, where he traded in his sports spaceship, his van spaceship, into this little speeder race car. So those are the only thoughts those are thoughts that I had on it. But I just when I saw it, I was like, oh, that's going to be cool because that's a super fast ship in the Star Wars universe, one of the fastest, I believe, in terms of the little speeder fighter type deals.
To your credit, whenever what I've heard, I'm not a parent. You don't want me to be a parent, but what I heard is when you get a sports car, you make it child compatible, and that's what happened. We got a little. But one of my favorite parts of this is Kuya, you were talking about how it was made to be very relatable. They made an American fucking sports car.
Yeah,
it's so true.
It had the HUD, it had the engine and everything. They made an American sports car.
It's like a muscle car, yeah.
I dig it.
Anywho, okay, so he gets out. We see him. He has this really fun jaunt around the planet. He flies it. He tests it. And of course, he falls in love. Who wouldn't? You always fall in love with the cuter, smaller, prettier thing.
Oh my gosh! Wow.
and he meets up with some space caps, and they recognize him. But to speed up to, we still have 2 more episodes to speed to the end. He comes back down. He realizes, yes, I'll take it. Yeah, sure, whatever. But I have to go visit someone first. And then around the corner, here comes a Fennec. And that leads us she's everywhere, and I'm okay with that. Fennec, please come into my life and be everywhere.
Right.
Then that leads us to episode 6, and Glenn, take it away.
Hey, so like you were saying, Heather, in terms of jarring, it just kind of continues. Like we kind of jump back in, and when you saw Fennec right at the end of episode 5, it's like, oh yeah, that's right. I'm watching the Book of Boba Fett. I'm not watching Mandalorian. And then we jump into episode 6, and it's like, oh, am I watching The Mandalorian again? Because we get the Marshal. We get the Marshal. So I have to say that the opening scene of episode 6 was pretty amazing because I love Timothy O'Fallon, and the Marshal I think is a great character, and he just shows his his kind of savviness and his skill and his deftness in that opening scene. He also shows his moral characters, moral high ground. So I thought it was very cool to bring this character in, flesh him out a little bit more, and then kind of show his opposition to the Pike Syndicate, and being the mayor of Freetown, where he would stand kind of all this. And then of course I will say this, that they're Book of Boba Fett has one of the dopest kind of beat drops,
oh my gosh, right?
Oh
yes.
my God.
Whenever the cold open happens and the beat drops, I'm always just ready. I don't care. Book of whatever. You could just Star Wars Book of and then ... I'd still watch.
You know what? I gotta look if there's a trap beat song to that now, because they need to have one. That needs to exist.
Someone needs to make a trap to that. Someone needs to make a trap beat to that.
You could live your life off of that one 5-second snippet, your entire life.
Every time. And I just thought it was very, very dope, especially, how the Marshal kicks over the spice and lets it slowly filter. It's very cinematic. And then you get the doom, 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 doom. So all that is pretty amazing. So starting out, we know that Freetown is now going to be involved. And then of course it's okay, so now what's going to happen with Mando? Now what's going to happen to Boba Fett, right? What's the next thing? Where's Boba going to be now? What's he going to do? And then we get to see with Grogu and Luke Skywalker. I'm just are we ever going to get back to Boba? What are they doing? They're on freeze right now. They were in the middle of preparing for a war. And then we have all this other stuff happening. My one qualm is, if you're in the middle of preparing for war, it's very jarring to be there's imminent danger. Let me give you some backstory. You know what I mean? That it slowed it down. And I think that's the other thing that we felt a little bit jarred by. But I'm going to say
that with Game of Thrones. No one complained with Game of Thrones. But I only watched it briefly because of you, Glenn, because we did the whole last season thing. To me, that's what they did with that. So come on, people. You can take it with Game of Thrones, but you can't take it with this?
No.
Creepy. Hold on. 1, the final season of Game of Thrones does not count. And
True.
2, we keep forgetting we're talking about Dune here. We're not talking about any of these others. We're talking about Dune.
Right. But also Game of Thrones, because it's based on books, it's a very character intensive series, right? When you're reading the books, you go from one character and they have a whole their whole arc or whatever vignette of their life you get from that character, and then it just cuts to another character that's on the other side of the world. So it makes sense because that is how the books were. That's what the source material was. So again, Kuyapi, I'm just trying to just softly get you over. We agree to disagree. I'm just putting it out there for you. But anyways, we do get an amazing scene with Luke and Grogu and everything that's kind of going on there, and how he's been taken over there. and he's trying to figure things out. He's getting a little bit of he's meditating, he's figuring out how to do things. We get to see that Grogu still loves frogs, so that's pretty awesome. He's still trying to eat the frogs or whatnot. And I just really enjoyed the camaraderie. What did you guys think about Luke and Grogu together? What did you think about that team up?
Go ahead, Creepy. You go first.
Okay, I thought it was cool. Weird because we know that Mark Hamill is much older. So I'm very curious how that was all filmed. I know they had like a double. There was another actor that kind of looked similar, and then they still did CGI with it. So it was just kind of it's cool that technology is now speeding up that they can do stuff like that. But it was just still slightly awkward because I'm an older guy and I've grown up with this, and so it's just I know Mark Hamill, right? So yeah, I thought it was cool. I thought it was good interaction. And it was necessary in order for the twist that we're gonna have, in the concluding episode. It made sense. And I thought it was good. Again, I'm a fan of Book of Boba Fett, not I like Mandalorian, but this ain't Book of Mandalorian like y'all are saying it is. But anyway, I enjoyed it. It was good for me.
Heather.
So we just completely passed over the fact that R2-D2 will always be R2-D2.
Oh yeah,
that's right.
All the love to R2.
He totally he tricked the fuck out of Mando. He's like, I'll totally take you. No. Hey guys, make him a bench.
Yeah.
Make him a bench. Let him sit down.
Well, that was the next part, is the Mando coming in to not spy, but check out what's going on with Grogu or whatever. And that scene where he gets there and he talks to R2, which, by the way, R2 is the biggest plot hole of Star Wars. Like, he blows all the continuity way off. Things just are very confusing for me whenever R2 is involved, because I'm like, you mean to tell me this droid has been around with Anakin and Luke and Leia and now Grogu? Hold on. I'm sorry. This one droid, are you serious? In the whole wide world of space where robots are a dime a dozen, you're telling me this one droid always? Okay.
You can't talk about holes when you have the fact that Ahsoka is still alive and Luke was supposed to be the final. We cannot talk about holes. If we do, we will get lost.
This is true. This is very true.
To go back to the love and passion, it's really interesting to me how what you saw with the Luke and Grogu. I hate that fucking name. You know, like how they mentioned that, by the way. I'm sorry. I know I got ahead, but I just, it's such a terrible name. But the relationship is really how Luke tries to make it parent-child. I mean, it's supposed to be teacher-student, but he's really trying to bring him in more as like a replacement, like a pseudo dad. And it's like nothing he is doing is connecting. Like, he just can't do it. And it was made so clear, even in these small scenes, that it's like, you can't keep the attention and something's off. And it was really, really shown. It was shown very well. Also, I cannot stand, I am so sorry. I love you, Mark Hamill. You will always be Space Dad. No one should be calling you Daddy. The fact that there's a huge thirst for Mark Hamill right now, go back to episode 4. Then thirst.
You know what? I must have missed the Space Daddy tweets. I haven't seen that yet. I haven't been deep enough on Twitter to check it out.
Places, guys. I got dark.
You got some dark places. Well, here's the thing. As you guys probably put 2 and 2 together, it's really cool because we've seen the what is The Last Jedi, where there's the whole backstory of the school with Kylo Ren, and this is them building that school for, you know what I mean? Like, that was a really cool connection that I saw there, and I was just like, oh, okay, this is like basically the start of him making the Jedi school, which actually leads to the First Order and all this other stuff. And you're thinking it just was some droid ants that put all this together, and Grogu, if he would have stayed, like, would the school have been better for it, or you know what I mean? Oh, sorry. is that a spoiler?
It all away.
My apologies. Anyway, all of that is great. We get to see Mando. He's coming with a gift for Grogu. And of course, this episode had a ton of exposition. There was a lot of walking and talking and just kind of talking things out. Very exposition heavy. So I'll just kind of fast forward to the end where Grogu is left with this big choice, which I thought was kind of a D-bag move of Space Daddy Mark Hamill. I thought that was...
Yeah, that did make it kind of like,
but it's so weird to make him choose. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, here's armor or a sword. Any knight will tell you that you need armor and a sword. So why would you say you can only have one or the other? But I guess it makes sense. It's like if you're going to be using the Force, you got to really feel the Force, like have nothing in between you. So that was interesting. But it was very, very cool to see it rolled out because at this point we haven't even seen what Mando had made for Grogu. We just know that he melted down the armor and he has a little satchel that's supposed to be something. Melted down the spear. And he has a little satchel that's supposed to be something for Grogu. And Luke unfurls it and we get to see he has the teeniest little lightsaber, and then he has the armor and he has to make a choice. I'm just speeding through it just to get to that last choice that we have to figure out what he made. Overall, what did you guys think of the episode? I enjoyed it, even though I still haven't seen Boba Fett. This episode was really weird because there's like no Boba Fett in it. Like the other one was kind of like you get a little bit of Fennec at the end, and then this one was just like none.
Well, we kind of missed the point. So we have Freetown at the beginning where the Marshal, where we see the Marshal where he enters the Dune universe for a short period of time and says, "Take your spice away. We're not on the right planet. Go away." And then we skip forward where Mando leaves the planet, and he goes, "Boba, I got you. I got you. Give me a minute. Let me go talk to these dudes over here." And then, because that's where we get what's his face, the blue guy finally.
This is the last point.
That's a big thing in this episode.
It wraps up the episode so well, and leads into the next one so well. Because at this point of the episode, right, I'm thinking that it's all over. I'm like, okay, cool, he did that. The choice has to be made. That's a good cliffhanger. And then we get one more little scene in Freetown where a stranger walks into town, and basically it's Old West style. We get Cade. How do you say his name? Cade Bane. Cad Bane. I'm sorry, I always want to put the E on the CAD. Cad Bane from if you've ever watched Clone Wars, it's amazing to see how they adapted this character, brought him to the Book of Boba Fett, and then we get that show off with the Marshal, who's already been shown to be an amazing draw, because that was part of his character building at the beginning with the Pike Syndicate, and then we get Cad Bane at the end with the face off with him. Of course, the deputies on the side who fouls it up. Like, who knows? Maybe things would have worked out different had the deputy not been involved. But the introduction to Cad Bane, all right, what do you guys feel about that when you saw a character who's so iconic from the Clone Wars in here?
So I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Okay.
Yeah,
I didn't watch the animated series too much like that. So this was really, for me, the first introduction to Cad Bane. I was blown away, and I'm now intrigued enough because of this introduction to now go back and check out the animated Clone Wars and get more. I thought he's a great character. I'm now a fan of the character, although after we get to episode 7, that's what we else to say there. So I got a lot of backtracking to enjoy more, but I thought just a great character introduction, great way to bring that in and make it imposing out the get-go. Sad to see what happened to Timothy Oliphant, but again, we still have more to go. So, there's more to be said there. But so for me, phenomenal. Now it made me interested in the character, that's having me go back as a fan to dive into that content. So that's what you want to do as the crew, as Dave Filoni, make people look at more of the material. And they did that with me with that Cad Bane introduction. So I enjoyed it. Go ahead, Heather.
I liked one of the things that truly made Star Wars great from the very, very first moment you ever watch a film is it is a space opera based off an old Western. And that moment truly defined Star Wars for me. Like,
Yes.
it's not lightsabers and running around. It is a classic old Western film in space. And that moment was like, this is frickin' Star Wars.
Yeah.
Because all you have an event happening in a desert somewhere, and then a crew builds up around that. Just like QUP said, is we have this cycle now, and it's the Mandalorian series, no matter if it's Boba or otherwise, it is creating we're finally getting that full circle that we were craving before Disney took over. We are getting a callback to, yes, that is actually canon. Yes, that is actually canon. And it's great because we have we have people who want to go back and say, people our age that are like, I didn't watch a cartoon. Why would I watch a cartoon? Oh, maybe I needed to watch a cartoon.
Yeah.
Yes, you did.
Yeah. And it's amazing because Star Wars, if nothing else, from the very beginning, that original trilogy, it created a world. It sparked our imagination, created a whole world out there. And then it got into these other nice. It got into these other the other trilogies and the other episodes of Star Wars that were like, does it fit? Like you're saying, Heather, is that canon or whatever? And this just brings it all together. Like, hey, these are all the elements. This is the world we've built, and the world feels so much larger now. You know what I mean? Like, now it feels like it really is cracking through the thin veneer of just the episodes that you've seen in the movie theater. It's like, no, these actually fit right into Star Wars. They're done just as well. The production values are just as high, or just as low, I guess, is how Star Wars has always been kind of like a media. It's super high budget, but sometimes they make it look like it's like like old school. But it brings all that in. It builds this world and it drops you in it. And now we're pulling characters from all these other little pieces. I'm waiting to see somebody from the Bad Batch come in, or someone for Rebels. You know what I mean? Like all these cartoons that were in that make it just so much fun. His introduction is amazing, and it sets us up perfectly for episode 7, where QUP will take us away.
All right. Episode 7 is called, I had my notes here a second ago. It's called In the Name of Honor. So I shall hopefully do honor to both Glenn and Heather in closing this out. In the Name of Honor is straight up a Western showdown. Back to Heather's point, in that classic vein. Heather put it so eloquently. Yes, it's what we love about Star Wars. It's based on that, and that's what they delivered with episode 7. We get all of our cast of characters that we've been building up. Mando is there, even though this is the Boba Fett show. Mando's there, Fennec Shan there, Black Kirsten's there. We got the Chewbacca. We have the biker gang that a lot of people were upset about as well, because they're like, oh, here we go. I love it. I thought they were great. And so, yeah, we're closing it out with the showdown against what's the name of the
Pike Syndicate?
The Pike Syndicate. There it is.
The
Pike Syndicate. Cad Bane is back.
Fish faces.
We're all there, and we're trying to shut this down. We're trying to stop them. The Bubba and the gang are trying to hold down the fort as these forces are coming in. The Pike Syndicate. They're encountering everybody on different areas. They had a master plan that kind of falls to pieces. They're hoping some backup comes that Fennec Shan went to go get from Freetown. But obviously we found out what happened to Timothy Oliphant. Can't remember his character's name within the Star Wars universe.
Marshall, just the Marshal.
The Marshal. The Marshal's troops, because they love the Marshal and they see what's going down, they're with it. So they come, and it's great. It's a whole episode of that. But there's some super elements that just, for me as a Star Wars nerd, a real big highlight for me was seeing Bubba on top of it was Manticore. What is the name of the
Rancor?
Seeing Bubba, that we kind of alluded to with the buildup of the introduction of the Rancor. Bubba generally on the Rancor like a steed, as a horse, if you will, but it's a giant kaiju, if you will, and just destroying stuff left and right. And then we also had Bubba. Actually, before that even happened, we had Bubba and Mando as a tag team. That actually was really the more so the lead off before the Rancor. And that was super cool to just see the two Mandos that we now all love. You know, it was always about Bubba. Then when they introduced Mandalorian, I think Mandalorian kind of took over for pretty much the world as their new favorite Mando. And then to have them tag team our two favorites collectively now as a tag team was super cool to see. And then again, but overwhelming odds that they had to encounter. So the Freetown gang comes through to try and give more backup. And then after that, Bubba goes to get his pet Rancor. And then so that was super cool because now we see him mounted on there like a steed and just kind of helping lay waste. Although we also have mechs. I'm not remembering what they called those kind of roly type mech robots that came in from the Pike Syndicate that they use, which again is
when it went Terminator, when we transitioned to the Terminator universe.
You're right, because it's very similar.
I think it's RoboCop. RoboCop.
Terminator.
It more so reminds
those
me
aren't
the next set of films. You know, the 1, 2, 3s. You know, because they had that was like the real introduction of like the rolling type robot. Type, you know, droids in the universe. So we had those, but with like phenomenal force field type energy that even the Darksaber couldn't really cut through. You know, or it can't cut through. It couldn't really even get through there. Kinetic weapons, I think, was what was stated within the show. Couldn't break through. So again, overwhelming odds, and then you know they're having to kind of really transition through the city and trying to stop these forces from coming. But they figured out a way, especially with the Rancor, to just kind of really provide enough action upon hitting the robot in so many ways that it gave Mando to use the Darksaber to go from another angle to then defeat the robots, and then they defeated the other robot. So that's kind of like getting towards the end as they defeat that last big that was the Pike Syndicate's main avenue of kind of really stopping them, but they figured out the way to destroy those characters. But before we even get to the finale, though, we still had the menace of Cad Bane that we spoke of in the last episode. And again, if you caught us earlier, if you're tuning into this, you might have skipped around on this. That was my first introduction to Cad Bane. I know Heather and Glenn are very familiar from the animated series. I became a fan after the last episode of Cad Bane, but then they killed him. You know, here we are, and we are kind of
spoiler alert.
But that's kind of already what we said, and I'm sure if you're tuning into this, you've already seen it all. And yeah, I just realized I just said that, but fuck it, I just said it. It's in there. But I'm now a fan of Cad Bane. I got my introduction to him, but then they killed him. But am I upset with that? No, because like Heather said, you know, this is a epic tale, and if you want to relive that stuff, that's what all that other stuff is there for. You can go back to that, and that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to tune into that stuff, and so I'm not so worried about it. You know, would I have liked to see more live action Cad Bane? Yes, but did I get enough that intrigues me to go check out the other stuff? Yes. So I'm going to do that, and I'll relive those moments. And but I thought it was great, but it made sense as well. So that's why I'm not so upset about it. Cad Bane had to go out from all that I know, because I know that the dent is actually that's on Boba Fett's helmet was from Cad Bane in my little bit of research after I became a fan of Cad Bane. So I want to know more about that. And it was a great conclusion. I think I caught those moments. Did we get to the armor with Yoda? No. So in this episode, Yoda is now back. She comes in. Well, not she. Excuse me. Let me. You know what? Well, you know what? What if Grogu is claiming that? We don't know that. Grogu could be changing his pronouns.
We know the Yodeling's gender.
Let's
be honest. Gender is a spectrum.
Exactly. So Pelmoto comes in, played by Amy Sedaris, with Grogu, and we see that the armor that was melted down is a nice little suit of armor that is now on Baby Groda. I was about to say Baby Yoda.
Baby Groda.
Bringing it right back to Mando, right? So anyway, it's on Grogu, and it's just the sweetest scene. They want to talk. There's such a tender moment, but they're in the heat of battle. But my heart melted. I was just, yes, finally, because we didn't get it in the previous episode when Mando really wanted to see Grogu, but he knew for the, he loves him so much that no, you have to choose what's best. And then we got that moment. So the payoff was there. My heartstrings were pulled. And anyway, so yes, Grogu's back. Everybody's back. And then actually, to close it out too, when they finally defeated that last mech rolling droid, whatever, along with the Rancor, it was also through help of baby Grogu. And Heather, you can't see it on screen because it's on me right now. Heather's doing this. And yes, there she is. You see it. Yeah, Grogu helped out a little bit right there at the very end because it had to save Papa, have to save Mando. It was good stuff, man. I enjoyed this complete book of Boba Fett. I know y'all are calling it Book of Mando, but to me, it was enough. And to me, it suited Boba Fett, the type of character that Boba Fett is. I thought it was well done. Let me go ahead and toss it to you guys. What did you think of this finale?
First, the part, because you said like it was heartwarming. The part that was the most heartwarming when Grogu came was the little jump into Mando's arms.
Oh yes,
yes. That's just a little piece that it shouldn't be, but his little legs jumping, which he learned from Luke, because Luke was trying to get him to jump, and he's like, "Oh, that's all you got. That's all you got." And then you see him spring like a super. Oh my goodness, a super high jump.
I know as a dad, because you got the little one, don't you, Glenn?
Yeah, man. So that one pulled on the heartstrings. Listen. I had problems with this episode. There were just little things that kind of like annoyed me because it just felt like and we won. You know what I mean? Like it was really quick. They were outnumbered. They got out maneuvered, and you see that at the very beginning where they're holed up in like this dilapidated, burnt out bar, which we didn't even talk about the fact that the bar at Mos Espa got destroyed.
Well, that was on you, Glenn, because you had it in the last episode. They blew it up in the last episode, Glenn.
All right. Well, if we're pointing out things that were glossed over, let's point out the fact that at the very beginning of this episode, there was an amazing scene between Cad Bane and Boba Fett where he's telling them like, "Yo, all your plans, I've already dismantled all your plans." You know what I mean? Like I'm already a step ahead of you, to the point where Boba's like, "Damn." Like he really did like figure all my stuff out, because they're ace in the hole. If you remember, Cad Bane was the one who basically made it so that Freetown wasn't supposed to be coming through. You know what I mean? So that scene also was it's just amazing how he came in, had all that gravitas, and then we get to see the brotherhood between Mando and Boba Fett when they're like, "Yo, this is it. Like, I mean, there's no way we're going to win, so we're probably just going to die together." And he's like, "All right, you can dip." Yeah, please.
Oh, no. I apologize. Excuse me. Apologies.
I owe you, Heather, by the way. I was going to tell you at the end. I was going to say, as a comedian, I hate it when people step on jokes. I stepped on your joke. I owe you something. Dinner, lunch, something, because I hate it when that happens, and I apologize. Anyways, go ahead.
No. So that was the whole joke. It's they're having, y'all two are having such a great conversation. I'm sitting here going, all right, let's talk about the true hero. We need to talk about Mok Shaz's. Can I help you? Wait. I have a great education. Let me tell you, I'm not gloating.
Right.
You don't even help. Apologies.
Yeah, it was great. And it was, the funny part about that is like when they were both like, they're going back and forth like, "All right, I guess we just got to die." And then they're like, "Yep, just time to die for us. Yep, we're just going to go ahead and die." And then he's like, just point of contention. I don't want to die. You mind if I go talk to him?
I'm not every white man on this planet. Give me a minute. Hold on.
Give me 1 second. So that was great. All in all, just a great episode. So many great points. We get to see Chewbacca go through and basically, because what happens is they have all these plans to defend against the Pike Syndicate. They all go out the window. Pike Syndicate overwhelms them. Chewbacca gets overwhelmed, but we get to see how beast he is because he overcomes all that. You know what I'm saying? Like just knocking people. And he comes. The problem I had with this episode is there's no sense of space. Like everyone's supposed to be in these different places in the city, but somehow they all just run back to like the main spot. And it's like, wait a minute, I thought that was further away and you needed a speeder to get there. So how did he run with a broken foot? And you know what I mean? So that was kind of confusing me a little bit, and it was a little bit annoying. And I also I got annoyed because the whole biker gang, the mods, it's like, why do you all have such useless mods? None of your mods are helpful. like they have all these mods and none of them can do anything. They can't shoot straight. They have little pea shooters. It's like, what? You guys are mods. You're supposed to have something cool. You know what I mean? Like,
do you mind if I interject real quick?
yes, please, because I'm finishing. I'll just wrap it up by saying I had problems with the episode because of these little things, and I just thought they built up to something so great. You took us to such great places. End it with pizzazz, and it just felt like they kind of rushed through the ending. Although Rancor versus Bubble Bots was an amazing fight.
It was a great fight. One thing that I will say that I'm going to kind of agree right down the middle. I really enjoyed this series. I did. I make fun of it, but it's because that's what is great about being a fan is I feel comfortable making fun of the things I love. Because nothing's perfect. There's literally no thing that is perfect.
Well said.
True.
But what I do wish about this episode was some of it silly, was some of it, it's freaking Star Wars. If you don't know it's silly, you have never watched anything with Frank Oz in it ever. So just go away. But anyway, it's one of those where what I would have loved to see is this separated. I agree with Glenn that I think that it went too quickly. There was just the pacing was rather strange. The directions, we are in 5 different segments. All of a sudden we're in one. It would have been really great if we segmented this a little bit and we really drew out that first part and basically came off at a cliffhanger where everyone just gets attacked in their different segments. We really grew to where the battle was about to begin. And then we had a full episode of the battle. Would have loved that. Understanding, we all understand timing and money, and it's making Star Wars is very expensive, but it's one of those where I think what would have fixed a lot of people's problems overall is if this episode was 2.
I'm with you.
Sure.
Even though I'm probably the bigger fan of this series than you guys, because I really had I didn't have as many qualms as y'all did, but I will agree as well that this would have been better longer. So I definitely agree to that point, Heather. Mm-hmm. But did it entertain me and was I happy with each episode? Yes.
Absolutely.
So that's where I lie. But I would have liked it to be longer, but they gave me what I wanted. But I missed a couple things from the story before I forget. Just to add, as we alluded to earlier, Timothy Olyphant, the Marshal, is at the end credits. We see that he, although I thought it was going to be Chewbacca.
I don't know if I can call him that. Am I allowed to call him that?
Yeah, sure.
That's what Glenn wants to say. Where I'm gonna go with it. I would have thought because he did say that he was gonna take a bath in there, but we had the Marshal in the bath, and then we also had Super Cat, or I think that's the rapper's name who's playing whatever his character's name. But
the modifier
is the modifier, and it's gonna give us Olyphant back. So there we go. And was there another one? I thought I could have swore there was another secret ender in there that I'm missing. That
it was just the ending with of course. See, here's why we had the issue, Kuya P, because the last cutscene, which is the final cutscene of the series, is who? It's not Boba Fett and Fennec Shand doing something. It's Mando and Grogu. That's the last cutscene of the show.
Away. Not
and
back.
they fly away.
Not back.
So again, I just feel like it's so weird to have a show that's supposed to be a main character and your end scene and like your final credit scene is like of this other character that is so well known. It just it was a little bit jarring that way.
I'll give you that.
To give that final credit scene though, the most important, the final credit scene, the armor. Sorry, I had to one more time. The whole point of that final credit scene is to lead you into something next.
Right.
So I'm actually okay with the fact that was Mando, because in all actuality, if we had gotten exactly what we wanted, and when I say we, I mean just like the overall fandom, if we had gotten exactly what we wanted and we got a full Boba Fett series, it should have always ended at that very moment. Because the next thing that is on the docket for the Mando part is Mando chapter 3. Kenobi, which was just finally announced with a release date, it's the next Star Wars thing, but that's not what's next for this story. So I actually disagree, Glenn. I think that is on par for Boba Fett because
okay. All right, it's a good lead-in. Yeah. Well, I totally agree with you. With the one caveat, if we didn't have so many cuts earlier in the season that were so jarring, then you know what I mean. Like you have the season, there's a lot of Boba. You know what I mean. You don't have these, and then you have Mando at the end. Then you're leading into it. It's just like to have basically the last 3 episodes felt like the Mandalorian. It felt like the Mandalorian with an appearance by Boba Fett. Is kind of how it went down. I'm sure, people will argue that, but for the last 3 episodes, Mando has the majority, or the Mandalorian characters have the majority of the screen time, even if it's the Marshal or Mando himself, Grogu, Luke Skywalker, Ahsoka. All these characters that were introduced in Mando are the main characters for 5, 6, and 7. But I'm happy. I'm not complaining. These are little nitpicks. When someone gives you the most amazing thing in the world, it does seem like you're kind of looking a gift horse in that mouth to kind of have all these qualms about it. But this is how I'm paying my respects, by saying, I wanted something else. You know what I mean? The passion that we all have for it is what's coming through, as you can see. And it's like, we just wanted a little bit different to happen here.
We totally missed, and we didn't even talk about the most important part, where Fennec totally destroys the syndicate and then just walks the fuck away.
Yo, right? Yeah. My wife was like,
y'all keep talking about the boys club. What about the fact that Fennec literally came in at the end and slaughtered everyone, and then she's just like,
peace. Yep.
Yeah, my wife brought that up when we were watching it together. She was like, because she was watching the boys club do their thing. And then she started watching, and then she was like, "Yeah, right." Like,
here's a follow-up question to it, though. Here's a follow-up question to it, though, because I was actually kind of scared there at the end, and when I say scared, I mean scared. When Fennec hears that the spice trade is going to be closed off, in theory, from Tatooine, like that's what they want. They want it just gone. She's like, "It's like a lot of money in this. Are you sure?"
Yeah, right.
At the end, I was almost like, she's totally going to backstab him. She's totally going to backstab him. Like, I was thinking the entire time, like, the reason we hadn't seen her when she went off to do this exact thing was because she was going to show up and be like, "I bet I could get you, Boba. I could do it." And like, I was like, that would be a great way to make Boba Fett season 2. But then she just came in and just slaughtered the fuck out of everyone. It's like, all right, cool.
That works too.
I think she really proved her loyalty with everything. And as explained, when we find out what had happened and what he did for her, I think that there's a very strong bond there. So
yeah, that
would have broke my heart if they did do it. If what you said were to have happened, it would have broke my heart.
That's why I was so scared, because I was like, I don't know if I could be okay with that. I don't know. But that's kind of just how they were. Like, maybe I was just seeing it too much. I was like, they're not gonna do it, are they? They're not gonna do it.
Yeah. So my final thought, I love the series. Last episode I had a little bit of issue with, but I think because they've added so much to the Star Wars universe, it's like you give them this leeway. It's a great addition to the Star Wars universe. And even though I had all these gripes, I wouldn't change a thing. Just leave it the way it is. You guys killed it. It's an amazing job done by everyone involved.
I would echo those sentiments as well, Glenn, although I probably appreciated it a little bit more than you, despite some of the issues that, again, I wouldn't completely disagree with you. I just, feel somewhat differently about it, but I'm with that. I thought amazing job. How about you, Heather?
I loved it. The Book of Mandalorian chapter 3 was wonderful. Sorry, I had to. Okay. No, I'm very excited to see what Boba's going to do next, especially with how he ended. Like, maybe we shouldn't be here after all. Maybe this isn't our thing. To see him and Fennec, no matter where they go, I am very excited for the future.
It's funny. He became the mayor and then left the town in shambles. I'm like, yeah, maybe this isn't for me.
Oh,
My favorite part, I'm not going to deny, of the entire episode was that extra at the end who was really trying so hard to make it look like it was really, really heavy. 30-second scene of him pretending this thing was so heavy. And I'm like, I don't even know what Boba's saying. I love this man.
Before we go, what did you think of our favorite engineer per Glenn's thing with Glenn's the engineer that Bubba had? I forgot her name, Amy Sedaris' character, hooking up with the liege or whatever that guy's character. Alluded to them kind of hooking up.
When he was like,
It's a pleasure to meet you. We don't have time for that shit.
Yeah, but then she's like, oh, but you are kind of cute though.
Right, exactly. They left it there like that. So what do you think? Do you want that pairing or no?
I think that makes for comedic gold in the Star Wars universe.
We'll see. So we'll see if they go back to it with the next Mando. Because she's got to come back. You had to bring back Amy Sedaris.
With the next what?
Book of Mandalorian.
See, by the end you came around.
For that. But this was the Boba Fett story.
Okay.
No, but yeah. So would y'all want to see that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Comedy gold. Bring it there.
I do, but she totally dip out the next day. It'd be a one night stand for her.
She's a commitment phobe.
Yeah, you know what? But that would be hilarious. Give us that moment. Give us her walking up out of there with the droids.
You know why it's
you were nice, bye.
You know why it would be amazing? Because he's such a groveling person that him trying to negotiate his way back into her heart.
Oh, yes.
Amazing.
She turns him out and he keeps on begging.
He's like, well, I've studied relationships before and I have some.
All right, y'all, let's get up out of here because we got more stuff to do, stuff for people to check out on the channel. Big Glenn, how can they follow the Blur Dad with Level Up Comedy?
Check out Level Up Comedy. Also, Glenn Lawrence Comedy on Facebook as well as IG, and Glenn Levels Up on Twitter.
There you go. And Heather, don't hurt them. How can they reach out to you?
You can follow me on Twitter at NerdIsAHeather, and the opposite, Heather is a Nerd, on TikTok. Whenever I learn how to do that, I am old, and Instagram.
I love it. Follow my NRW family. Give Glenn and Heather all the love, all the follows. And for me, it's the Legend Kuya P on Twitter, TikTok, and IG. Of course, Show Pal Show. And here with Heather, Glenn, and the whole gang at the NRW and at New Release Wednesday, where nerds rule the world. That is our take on Star Wars, the Book of Boba Fett. We will see you at Kenobi or the Book of Mandalorian, whichever comes first.
Kenobi is May?
Kenobi.
May?
There
April?
There you go.
It's fine. There's a Marvel movie in between. You'll be fine.
There we go. We'll see you then. Bye. All right.
Don't wait.